Hello, everyone. My name is Daniela Ortiz, 36 years old, and 3 months ago, my own father threw me and my 9-year-old daughter out of Christmas dinner, right in front of 18 relatives. My little girl was still holding her napkin, waiting for dessert. Leave. And don't ever come back, my sister said, smiling like this was a favor. Christmas is so much better without you, my mother added. I didn't beg, I didn't cry. I just looked at them and said quietly, "Then you won't mind me doing this." 5 minutes later, every single person who had just kicked us out was on their knees, begging me to take it all back. Before I tell you what happened next, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if you're genuinely enjoying this story. Drop a comment too. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back 22 months earlier, to the day my husband died. The call came at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was parked outside Riverside Elementary School, watching children pour out of the building, their backpacks bouncing as they ran toward waiting cars. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Mrs. Ortiz," a calm voice said, "this is St. Augustine Medical Center. Your husband Miguel was involved in a motor vehicle accident. You need to come immediately." I don't remember driving there. I don't remember who picked up Bella. The next clear image I have is standing in a cold, sterile hallway, staring at a doctor in blue scrubs as he told me my husband of 12 years was gone. The funeral was 4 days later. My parents came. My sister Valeria came with her husband Daniel, aunts, uncles, cousins. The entire family dressed in black, dabbing their eyes with tissues. But this is what I remember most. During the reception, I stepped into the hallway to breathe. The room felt too small, too loud. Through a cracked door, I heard my sister whisper to my mother, "She can't raise Bella alone. You know that, right? Maybe we should talk about someone else taking the child." My blood turned cold. I waited for my mother to defend me, to say anything. Instead, Sophia nodded slowly. "We'll discuss it later," she said. "Let her grieve first." I backed away without a sound, telling myself they were just worried, just concerned. Sisters say things they don't mean. At the burial, my father Hector pulled me aside, his hand pressed heavily on my shoulder. "Daniela, you need to be strong now," he said. "Miguel's gone. Crying won't bring him back." Then he hesitated, caught himself. "People don't respect weakness. Pull yourself together." That was it. That was everything my father said to me on the day I buried my husband. I didn't know it then, but that moment wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning. 3 months after the funeral, the insurance settlement came through. $3.2 million. Miguel had taken out the policy years earlier, right after Bella was born. "Just in case," he'd said. I remembered rolling my eyes at him back then. We were young. Nothing like this was supposed to happen. But something did happen. And suddenly, I was sitting in a lawyer's office, signing paperwork, trying not to think about the dollar amount attached to my husband's life. The moment the deposit hit my account, everything changed. My sister Valeria started calling twice a week. "Just checking in," she'd say sweetly. "How are you holding up, sis?" Her voice carried a softness I'd never heard before. My mother began inviting me and Bella to Sunday dinners every single week. "Family needs to stick together," Sophia said. Even my father, who hadn't gone out of his way to speak to me since my wedding, suddenly wanted to reconnect. By the fourth Sunday dinner, Hector cleared his throat at the head of the table. "Daniela, I've been thinking," he said. "You should let Valeria manage your finances. She's good with money." He hesitated, then added, "You've always been the creative type." I set my fork down. "I appreciate the concern, Dad," I said carefully, "but I'm handling things just fine." The temperature in the room dropped instantly. Valeria leaned forward, her voice still coated in honey. "We're just worried about you. That's all. You've never dealt with this kind of money before." "I have an accountant," I said, "and a financial advisor. Miguel set it all up Before I could finish, she smiled and nodded, like the decision had already been made without me. After dinner, as I was helping Bella into her jacket, A frail hand closed around my wrist. Grandma Elena, 88 years old, sharp as a blade. She leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. Be careful with that money, child. I don't trust anyone in this room. Her eyes flicked, briefly, deliberately, toward her own daughter. She pressed something into my palm, a folded piece of paper. There's someone you need to call, she murmured. We'll talk more soon. Before I could ask anything, Bella came running back toward us, and Grandma Elena shuffled away like nothing had happened. I didn't open the paper until I got home. At first it looked blank, but it wasn't. A phone number, and 3 words, written in her shaky handwriting. Call Julian Reyes. I didn't call. Not yet. I told myself I was overreacting, that Grandma was old, maybe confused, maybe paranoid. 6 months passed. Valeria's calls became more frequent and more pointed. Dad's store is struggling, she'd say casually. The construction supply business just isn't what it used to be. And Mom's been under a lot of stress, she added. Medical bills are piling up. Just little comments. Little reminders. It must be hard, she said once, sitting on all that money while family suffers. Then came the dinner where everything shifted. My mother called me, crying. Actually crying. Daniela, she sobbed, your father is about to lose the store. 30 years of his life. Gone. She took a shaky breath. We might lose the house too. My chest tightened. Despite everything, they were still my parents. I can help, I said quietly. I'll lend you $85,000, no interest. Pay me back whenever you can. Lend? My father's voice exploded through the phone. I realized then, he'd put me on speaker. I don't need charity from my own daughter, Hector snapped. I'm not some beggar. Silence followed. Then my sister's voice slid in, smooth as silk. What Dad means, Valeria said gently, is that it would be easier if you just signed a few papers. Let me handle the investments. That way we can help the family properly, together. What papers? I asked. Oh, just standard things, she replied lightly. Power of attorney, asset management. I'll take care of everything. You won't have to worry about a thing. Power of attorney. My husband's voice echoed in my head, clear as day. Never sign anything you haven't read twice, Daniela, and never hand control of your money to family. That's how fortunes disappear. I took a breath. I need time to think about it. What's there to think about? Valeria's sweetness cracked, just for a second. We're family. I said, I'll think about it, I repeated. Then I hung up. That night, I finally called the number Grandma Elena had slipped into my hand. The next afternoon, when I got home from work, Bella was crying. She was curled up on her bed, face buried in her pillow, her small shoulders shaking. My heart broke. Hey, baby, I whispered, sitting beside her. What happened? She wouldn't look at me. Nothing. I stroked her hair gently. Sweetheart, please, talk to me. It took 10 minutes of soft coaxing before she finally spoke. Grandma Sophia said something, she murmured. When you were in the bathroom at dinner last week. My stomach dropped. What did she say? Bella's voice fell to a whisper. She said, she wishes Daddy was still alive instead of you. Because Daddy knew how to take care of me. And you don't. The room tilted. My own mother had said that to my 9-year-old daughter, about me. Baby, listen to me, I said quickly, pulling her into my arms. That's not true. None of it. Grandma was wrong to say that. I held her tighter. I love you more than anything in this world, and I will always, always take care of you. She clung to me like I might disappear. That night, after Bella finally fell asleep, I poured myself a glass of wine and scrolled through my phone. A cousin I barely spoke to had sent a message. Hey, Daniela, is it true you've been gambling away the insurance money? Valeria mentioned something in the family group chat, the message read. Just wanted to check if you're okay. Gambling. My stomach dropped. I opened Facebook and searched for the family group I'd been quietly removed from months earlier. Through a screenshot a cousin sent me, I saw it. A post from Valeria, dated 2 weeks ago. Please pray for my sister, she'd written. She's going through a difficult time and making poor financial decisions. We're trying to help her, but she keeps pushing us away. Some people just can't handle sudden wealth. 43 comments, every single one dripping with pity. Every single one believing her. My hands were shaking. Rhea's legal group was downtown, on the 14th floor, glass walls overlooking the city. Julian Reyes was younger than I expected, early 40s, kind eyes behind thin wire-rimmed glasses. When he shook my hand, I noticed the photo on his desk. Him and Miguel, standing shoulder to shoulder at a college graduation, arms around each other, grinning. Miguel was my best friend, Julian said, following my gaze. We were roommates back at State. He asked me to look out for you and Bella if anything ever happened to him. His jaw tightened. I should have reached out sooner, I'm sorry. I sank into the chair across from him. I don't even know where to start, I said quietly. Julian didn't hesitate. Start with the power of attorney papers. I blinked. How did you… Your grandmother called me 3 weeks ago, he said. Elena Morales is sharper than most people realize. He opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. She told me what your sister has been planning, so I did some digging. He slid a document across the desk. Valeria contacted Blue Harbor Life Insurance 2 months ago. She asked about the process for transferring beneficiary rights, said she was calling on behalf of the family. My blood turned ice cold. She did what? Julian didn't look surprised. It gets worse. He opened another folder. I had a forensic accountant review your father's business. Hector's store isn't just struggling. He leaned forward. It's hemorrhaging money. Bad investments, poor management. He's about 3 months away from bankruptcy. My chest tightened. And Valeria, he continued, her real estate business took a serious hit last year. She owes investors money she can't pay back. The room felt smaller. Julian met my eyes. Daniela, they don't want to help you manage your money. He paused. They want to take it. I thought about Bella crying on her bed, about my mother's words, about the Facebook post calling me irresponsible, unstable, a gambler. My voice came out barely above a whisper. What do I do? Julian tapped the folder gently. First, Julian said calmly, don't sign anything. Then he hesitated. Second, your grandmother called me about something else. He looked down at the folder in front of him. Her will. I felt my breath catch. She wants to change it, he continued, and she wants me to witness everything. 1 week before Christmas, the doorbell rang at 7 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, Valeria was standing on my porch. Designer coat, perfect makeup, a manila folder tucked neatly under her arm. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Can I come in? I didn't move. Bella's doing homework, I said. This won't take long. She stepped past me anyway, straight into the living room. I closed the door slowly behind us, buying myself a few seconds. What do you want, Valeria? She placed the folder on my coffee table like it already belonged there. I need you to sign these, she said lightly. For the family. I didn't touch it. I already told Dad no. You told Dad no, she replied, tilting her head. You didn't tell me no. I'm telling you now, I said. No. Her smile faltered, just for a moment. Daniela, I'm trying to help you. Help me, I said flatly. By telling everyone I'm a gambling addict? Her face went blank for half a second. Then the mask slid back into place. I never said addict, she corrected. I said you were making poor decisions. Which you are. She gestured vaguely, dismissively. Sitting on millions while your family drowns. My money isn't my family's responsibility, she scoffed. Excuse me? I offered to help, I said, my voice steady. Dad refused. Now you want me to hand over control of everything? I shook my head. That's not help, that's theft. Her tone turned cold. You don't know what you're doing, she said sharply. You never have. You married Miguel and got lucky. That's it. She leaned closer. You're not smart. You're not capable. Her eyes hardened. You're just a widow with a windfall. I felt Bella's presence before I saw her. She was standing in the hallway, homework folder pressed to her chest, eyes wide. Valeria noticed her too. Instantly, her expression softened. Bella, sweetheart, she said brightly. Aunt Valeria was just, I heard what you said about Mom. The silence was crushing. Valeria snapped her folder shut and turned toward the door. At the threshold, she paused. Christmas dinner, she said coolly. You'll be there, and you'll bring the signed papers. She glanced back at me. Or don't come at all. The door slammed shut. 3 days before Christmas, my phone rang at 6 a.m. I answered against my better judgment. Hello? You're coming to Christmas dinner, my father said. Not a question. Good morning to you too, Dad. Don't get smart, Hector snapped. You'll be there at 7, at Elena's house. I was already planning to come, I said quietly. Bella wants to see Grandma. There was a pause on the line. And you'll sign the papers Valeria prepared, my father added. I closed my eyes. Dad, this isn't a discussion. His voice hardened instantly. This isn't a request. You will sign those documents or you won't set foot in this family again. You're threatening to disown me? Over money? I'm telling you to do what's right for once in your life, he snapped. Miguel carried you for 12 years. Now it's time for you to carry your weight. Miguel carried me. 12 years of partnership, building a home, raising a child, supporting each other through every struggle, reduced to me being carried. I'm not signing anything, I said. Then don't bother showing up, he replied coldly. We don't want you there. Does Mom know you're saying this? He laughed, short and bitter. Who do you think told me to call? The line went dead. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone still in my hand, my heart pounding. A moment later, Bella appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Mommy, who was that? I forced a smile. Just Grandpa. Go back to sleep, sweetheart. She hesitated. Are we still going to see Grandma Elena for Christmas? I thought about the envelope Grandma had slipped me during our last visit, the way she'd leaned in and whispered, "Open it when you need strength." I thought about Julian's warnings, about the manila folder on my coffee table, about everything I stood to lose. Yes, baby, I said, pulling her into my arms. We're going. I knew it was a trap. I just didn't know how deep it went. Christmas Eve. Grandma Elena's house. I went alone, leaving Bella with a neighbor. Some conversations aren't meant for children's ears. Grandma answered the door herself. 88 years old, spine straight as a ruler, eyes sharp with something I couldn't quite name. I knew you'd come early, she said softly. She ushered me into her study, closed the door behind us, then locked it. Grandma, what's going on? She crossed to an antique desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a thick cream-colored envelope, sealed with wax. She pressed it into my hands. Take this, she said quietly. Don't open it until tomorrow night. At dinner. I looked up at her, confused. You'll know when, she added, a sad, knowing smile touching her lips. Insurance, she said quietly. The real kind. Grandma, you're scaring me. She took my hands in hers, thin, papery, but steady. Daniela, Elena said, I've been watching my daughter and my granddaughter scheme for months. I know about the emails, I know about the power of attorney papers, and I know exactly what they're planning to do to you tomorrow. My chest tightened. How? I asked. Your mother accidentally forwarded me an email chain, she said flatly. Mother-daughter gossip. Her eyes sharpened. They forgot I know how to use a computer. She squeezed my hands. They called you easy pickings. They said you'd crumble under family pressure. My throat burned. I've lived 88 years, Grandma continued. I've seen greed tear families apart. Her voice lowered. I will not let it destroy you. She leaned closer. Tomorrow night, they're going to try to humiliate you into signing. They'll do it in front of everyone, so you feel trapped. My voice shook. What do I do? You stand your ground, she said firmly. And when the moment comes, she nodded toward the envelope in my hands. You open that. What's inside? Her smile returned. This time there was fire in it. The truth, she said, and something they never expected. The envelope felt heavy in my pocket for the rest of the night. I couldn't sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, the envelope tucked beneath my pillow like a childhood secret. Grandma's words kept circling in my head. Something they never expected. My mind drifted to memories I'd buried for years. I was 8. Bella's age. The first time I realized my parents favored Valeria. She got piano lessons, I got hand-me-downs, she got praise for B's, I got lectures for A minuses. Valeria tries harder, my mother always said. You just coast. Grandma Elena was the only one who ever saw me differently. At family gatherings, she'd pull me aside, press a butterscotch candy into my palm, and whisper stories about the house. This place has held 3 generations, she'd say softly. One day it should belong to someone who truly loves it, not someone who only sees dollar signs. I always assumed she meant Valeria, the perfect one, the successful one. Now, I wasn't so sure. The house itself was worth around $2.45 million, a colonial revival on 3 acres, built by my great-grandfather decades ago. Everyone knew Grandma would leave it to family. The only question was who. Valeria talked about it openly for years. When Grandma's gone, she'd say, Daniel and I will renovate, make it modern, maybe sell if the market's right. Grandma had overheard that conversation once. I remembered her face, tight, wounded, then quickly masked. A soft knock at my door. Mommy! Bella's voice was thick with sleep. I can't sleep. Can I stay with you? I pulled back the covers. She climbed in, warm and small, curling against me. Mommy, are we really going to Grandma Elena's tomorrow? She hesitated. Even though Grandpa's mad at us? Yes, baby, I said, kissing her forehead. Grandma wants to see us. That's what matters. Bella was quiet for a moment. Then she whispered, I love Grandma's house. It feels like a hug. A hug. That was exactly what it felt like. Christmas morning. My phone buzzed at 8 a.m. Julian Reyes. Merry Christmas, he said. I have something for you. You're working today? This couldn't wait, he replied, his voice tight. Your grandmother forwarded me an email last night, the original chain, between Valeria and your mother. I sat straight up in bed, heart pounding. What does it say? I'm reading it now, he said. It's dated April 15th, 2 weeks after Miguel's funeral. He paused. Daniela, I need to read this to you. Are you sitting down? Yes. Julian cleared his throat. We need to move before she gets smart, he read aloud. You know how pathetic Daniela is. She'll believe anything, Julian read. As long as we frame it as helping the family, Dad's store is the perfect excuse. My stomach twisted. The plan is simple, he continued. Get her emotional, isolate her, make her feel guilty for having money while we struggle. I pressed my hand to my chest. Then present the papers as a favor. She won't even read them. She never reads anything. I couldn't breathe. Julian kept reading. Timeline. Apply pressure through summer. Escalate in the fall. Close the deal by Christmas. Family gathering. Maximum witnesses. He paused. She won't say no in front of everyone. Silence. Daniela, he said gently. Are you still there? They planned this, I whispered, since April, 2 weeks after my husband's funeral. I have the full chain, Julian said. Timestamps, attachments, everything. Another pause. I've printed 3 sets. I can be at your grandmother's house by 8 tonight. Tonight? Your grandmother suggested it, he replied. She said you might need backup. I thought about the envelope under my pillow, about Grandma Elena's knowing smile, about 18 relatives who would witness whatever happened tonight. Julian, I said quietly. Yeah? Bring everything. I hung up. That afternoon, I would walk into my grandmother's house carrying 2 weapons, the envelope she gave me and the truth. They wanted a Christmas dinner performance. They were going to get one. 4:30 p.m. Grandma Elena's house. Bella held my hand as we walked up the cobblestone path. The old colonial glowed with warm light, every window flickering with candles, wreaths on every door, the smell of roasted turkey drifting from the kitchen. Picture perfect. Like a Christmas card designed to hide the rot underneath. We were among the last to arrive. I counted cars in the driveway. 15. Maybe more. Every aunt, uncle, and cousin within driving distance. The moment we stepped inside, Bella broke free from my hand and ran toward the living room. "Grandma Elena!" I watched her disappear into my grandmother's arms, the old woman's face breaking into a genuine smile, the first real one I'd seen all evening. Then Valeria appeared. "You made it," she said brightly. Her voice was sweet, but her eyes were assessing, calculating, searching for weakness. I forced a smile. "Merry Christmas, Valeria." "Let me take your coat," she said, already playing hostess, even though this wasn't her house. "Everyone's in the dining room. We saved you a seat." I handed her my coat, but I kept my purse. The envelope was inside. The dining room was full. A long mahogany table stretched across the room, set with Grandma's fine china. Crystal glasses caught the candlelight. Laughter and conversation filled the air. Warm, practiced. But I noticed the looks. Marissa glanced at me, then quickly looked away. The show was about to begin. Roberto leaned in and whispered something to Carmen. My mother's longtime friend, Margaret Ann, offered me a look of pure pity. They'd been prepared. I scanned the room for my parents. At the head of the table, Hector sat like a king awaiting his court. Sophia beside him, delicately dabbing her lips with a napkin, careful not to meet my eyes. And next to them, an empty chair, waiting for me. "Daniela, sweetheart," my mother called out. "Come sit, we've been waiting." The meal began normally enough. Turkey was carved, wine was poured, stories were traded across the table. I kept my head down, cut Bella's food, helped her with her vegetables, focused on breathing. Then, halfway through the main course, Valeria stood up. She tapped her wineglass with a fork. The room went silent. "Everyone," she said smoothly, "I hate to interrupt, but I have something important to share." Her voice was polished, practiced, almost ceremonial. "Our family is facing a difficult situation," she continued, "and I think it's time we address it openly." I felt every pair of eyes shift toward me. "As most of you know," Valeria went on, "my dear sister Daniela lost her husband Miguel 22 months ago. A tragedy for all of us." Soft murmurs rippled around the table. A few heads nodded solemnly. "What you may not know," she said gently, "is that Daniela received a very substantial insurance settlement." She paused. "Life-changing money." My hands curled into fists beneath the table. Bella looked up at me, confused. "And as a family," Valeria continued, "we're deeply concerned about how that money is being managed." My chest tightened. "We've tried to help her privately," she said, her voice trembling just enough. "We've offered guidance, support." She sighed. "But Daniela has refused to listen." Her voice cracked. "Perfectly timed. Perfectly rehearsed." "So tonight," she said, "in front of everyone who loves her, I'm asking my sister to let us help." She reached beneath her chair and pulled out a folder, the same manila folder she'd brought to my house. "A simple document," Valeria said calmly, "allowing me to co-manage her finances." She turned toward Bella. "It's for her own good," she added softly. "For Bella's future." Then she looked straight at me. Her eyes glittered. "So," she asked sweetly, "what do you say, Daniela? Will you accept your family's help?" 18 faces turned toward me, some filled with pity, some with expectation, some already nodding, convinced I was the problem. "Mommy," Bella whispered. At the head of the table, my father folded his arms. At the far end, Grandma Elena sat perfectly still, watching, waiting. I pushed my chair back and stood slowly. Every eye in the room locked onto me. I could feel it. The pressure, the unspoken demand that I would cave, apologize, Sign whatever they put in front of me just to make the discomfort stop. No, the word hovered in the air. Valeria blinked. I'm sorry? I said no, I repeated. I'm not signing anything. The room went dead silent. A fork clattered against a plate. Someone inhaled sharply. My father's chair scraped back as he stood to his full height, his face flushing red. You don't get to say no, Hector snapped. Not to family. Not after everything we've done for you. I met his gaze. What have you done for me? I asked evenly. Tell me, what exactly have you done? We raised you, he shot back. Gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? He gestured wildly. By hoarding money while your own family suffers? My mother finally looked at me. Her eyes were cold. Daniela, Sophia said flatly, you've always been selfish, even as a child. Some things never change. I offered to help, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. I offered Dad $85,000. No interest. He refused. Because it was insulting! Hector slammed his palm on the table. China rattled. You have millions sitting in a bank account while my life's work collapses. And you offer me scraps? Valeria stepped closer, her tone dripping with false concern. See? She said softly to the room. This is what we're dealing with. She doesn't understand money. She doesn't understand family. She needs guidance, someone muttered. She needs a keeper, another voice added. I didn't see who said it, I heard Bella. She was crying silently now, tears streaming down her face as she watched her grandfather scream at her mother. Only Grandma Elena moved. She reached across the table, gently pulled Bella into her lap, and shielded her with her arms. She said nothing. Not yet. Sign the papers, Daniela. My father's voice turned iron hard. Or get out of this house. I looked around the table. Not a single person spoke up for me. Hector pointed toward the door. Out. You and that child. Right now. Valeria nodded, arms crossed, satisfied. You should leave, she said coolly. And don't come back. We've tried to help you, Daniela. God knows we've tried. I turned to my mother. My own mother. Waiting for something. Anything. A single word of defense. Sophia smoothed her napkin slowly. Then she looked me straight in the eyes. Christmas would be so much better without you here, my mother said coolly. It always has been. My lungs stopped working. Bella's sob tore through the silence. Raw, broken, uncontrollable. She was 9 years old, and her grandmother had just said the world would be better without her mother in it. Cousins shifted uncomfortably. Aunts looked down at their plates. And uncles suddenly found the table fascinating. No one spoke. No one defended us. It was the loneliest moment of my life. I reached for Bella, ready to scoop her up, ready to leave, ready to disappear and never look back. Then I felt a hand close around my arm. Wait. Grandma Elena's voice was quiet, but it cut through everything. She was looking at me with something fierce in her eyes. A look that said, not yet. I remembered the envelope in my purse, her words from the night before. You'll know when. This was when. I straightened my spine and looked at my father, my mother, my sister. Okay, I said evenly. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. Relief flashed across Valeria's face. But first, I pulled out my phone. You won't mind if I make one quick call, my father scoffed. Calling the police? This is a private family matter. Not the police, I said. I dialed and put it on speaker. 2 rings, 3. Julian, I said. It's Daniela. I need you here, now. Bring everything. I'm already on my way, he replied. 5 minutes out. I hung up. Who the hell is Julian? My father demanded. I smiled, for the first time all evening. You'll see, the room erupted. What is this? Valeria snapped, her composure cracking. Who did you just call? A friend? She scoffed. You don't have friends. You barely have a personality. She turned sharply to my father. Dad, make her leave. Now, before whoever this is shows up. Hector took a step toward me. I said get out. I didn't move. You've waited 22 months to take my money, I said calmly. You can wait 5 more minutes. His face turned purple. How dare you? Enough! Grandma Elena's voice sliced through the room like a blade. Sit down. The silence was absolute. My father stared at his mother. In 88 years, I don't think she had ever spoken to him that way. Mother, he said stiffly, this isn't your concern. This is my house. Grandma rose slowly to her feet, still holding Bella's hand. My table, my Christmas dinner, and I will decide who leaves and who stays. She met his eyes. Now sit down. Hector sat. Grandma Elena turned to the room, her gaze sweeping across every face. I've been very quiet tonight, she said, watching, listening. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with controlled rage. I wanted to see how far this would go. She paused. I wanted to see if a single one of you would defend my granddaughter. Shame flickered across a few faces. Others just looked confused. Not one of you, Grandma said softly, shaking her head. She offered help. You rejected it. She refused manipulation. You called her selfish. And you made a child cry on Christmas Day. Mother, you don't understand, Sophia started. I understand perfectly. Grandma Elena reached into the pocket of her cardigan and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. Sophia, she said calmly, do you remember the email you forwarded me back in April? My mother froze. The one where you called Daniela easy pickings. The color drained from her face. Then, the doorbell rang. Grandma Elena's lips curved into a grim smile. That will be Julian, she said. Let him in. Julian Reyes stepped into the room carrying a leather briefcase. Despite it being Christmas, he was dressed sharply. Dark suit, polished shoes, a silver tie clip catching the candlelight. His eyes swept the room. The hostile faces, the tear-streaked child, the elderly woman standing unshaken at the head of the table. Good evening, he said evenly. I'm Julian Reyes, attorney at law. I represent Daniela Ortiz and Elena Morales. My father shot to his feet. What is this? Hector demanded. Some kind of ambush? Julian didn't flinch. I'd call it a correction. He set the briefcase on the table and opened it with a soft click. Mrs. Morales, he said respectfully. Shall I proceed? Grandma Elena nodded. Julian pulled out a thick folder. What I have here, he said, is a complete email chain between Valeria Cruz and Sofia Ortiz, spanning from April of last year to just last week. A hush fell over the room. He flipped the folder open. The subject line of the first email reads, he paused, Operation Daniela, a plan for the money. Gasps rippled through the table. That's private correspondence, Valeria shouted, lunging forward. You can't. It was forwarded to Mrs. Morales accidentally, Julian said calmly. She is now the lawful possessor of this communication. He offered a thin smile. Would you like me to read a few highlights aloud? He glanced at Valeria. The part where you called your sister pathetic? Or the section where you discussed having her declared financially incompetent? Valeria's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Sophia gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles turning white. Mother, she whispered, why would you do this? Grandma Elena's voice didn't rise. Because you plotted to steal from my granddaughter. The room held its breath. You insulted her, Grandma continued. You tried to break her. She turned her gaze to Sophia. And you told her child that the world would be better without her mother. She lifted a trembling finger and pointed. You are my daughter, Grandma said quietly, and I am ashamed of you. Sophia recoiled as if struck. No one spoke. Julian reached back into his briefcase. And now, he said, for the second document. He held up the printed emails so everyone could see. I'll read a brief excerpt. He cleared his throat. April 15th, 2 weeks after Miguel Ortiz's funeral. He read aloud. We need to move fast. Daniela has always been weak. She'll cave under family pressure, especially at a holiday gathering. Dad's store gives us the perfect cover story. We're not taking her money. We're helping the family. Once she signs the POA, Julian read steadily. We control everything. She won't even know what hit her. Marissa's jaw dropped. Roberto leaned forward, his face darkening. Murmurs rippled through the room like wildfire. That's taken out of context, Valeria protested, her voice cracking. I was just worried about her. May 3rd, Julian continued, unfazed. Update. Told the family group that Daniela is gambling. Plant the seed. When we finally get control, no one will question it. More gasps. Carmen turned slowly toward Sophia. You told us Daniela was gambling, she said quietly. Was that a lie? Sophia opened her mouth, then closed it. It was strategic messaging, Valeria jumped in quickly. To prepare the family. To manipulate the family, Grandma Elena cut in sharply. She looked around the table. To isolate my granddaughter so completely that when you stole her money, no one would believe her. My father stepped forward. Now hold on, Hector said loudly. This is all circumstantial. Email chains can be faked. Julian didn't miss a beat. He pulled out another document. Heavy paper, certified letterhead, official stamps. These emails were authenticated this morning by Westcore Digital Forensics, he said calmly. Timestamps verified. IP addresses traced directly to devices owned by Valeria Cruz and Sofia Ortiz. He placed the certification on the table. Anyone who wishes to review the verification is welcome to do so. No one moved. Valeria was shaking now. Her perfect composure had completely fallen apart. Daniela, please, she whispered. I can explain. I spoke for the first time in what felt like hours. I'm done listening to explanations. Julian reached into his briefcase one final time. He withdrew a document bound in blue legal paper, an official seal embossed at the top, notarized signatures along the bottom. This, he said clearly, is the last will and testament of Elena Morales. The room froze. Executed 3 weeks ago, Julian continued, and witnessed by myself and 2 independent parties. The temperature in the room dropped, at least 10 degrees. Sophia shot to her feet so fast her chair toppled backward. Mother, what did you do? Grandma Elena remained seated, hands folded calmly in her lap, completely composed. I did what I should have done years ago, she said evenly. I protected the people who actually deserve protection. You promised, Sophia whispered. I promised nothing, Grandma replied, her voice turning to ice. You assumed, she glanced around the table. Valeria assumed, Hector assumed, everyone in this family assumed they knew what my will contained. A thin, cold smile touched her lips. You assumed wrong. Julian opened the document and began to read. I, Elena Morales, being of sound mind, hereby bequeath my primary residence located at 915 Magnolia Ridge Drive, including all land, structures, and contents thereof, valued at approximately $2.45 million, to my granddaughter, Daniela Ortiz. Everything clicked. The envelope Grandma had given me. She hadn't handed me a mystery. She'd handed me protection, a copy of the will, days in advance, just in case. Chaos erupted. Valeria screamed, actually screamed. No, that house was supposed to be mine. We talked about renovations. You talked about selling my family's home for profit, Grandma cut in sharply. I listened, and I made my decision. Hector collapsed back into his chair like a puppet with its strings cut. Mother, everything you planned, Grandma corrected, was built on the belief that I would reward cruelty and greed. Her gaze hardened. I won't. Sophia was crying now, mascara streaking down her face. You're giving everything to her, she sobbed. After all we've done for you? Grandma Elena's eyes burned. What have you done for me, Sophia? She asked quietly. Besides lie, scheme, and turn my Christmas dinner into a public execution of your own daughter. Silence swallowed the room. Julian closed the will. Mrs. Ortiz, he said, turning to me. You are now the sole heir to this property. Sophia dropped to her knees, right there on the floor, Grandma's antique Persian rug bunching beneath her as she crawled toward me. Daniela, baby. I didn't mean it, she pleaded. Any of it. I was just trying to help the family, she sobbed. We were scared. Your father's business. I never meant to hurt you. I watched my mother beg. The same woman who told my daughter the world would be better without me. The same woman who spent 22 months plotting to steal my future. Hector stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing like he couldn't find words anymore. Then Valeria tried a different angle. She grabbed my arm, tears streaming down her face. Real tears this time. I'm sorry, she cried. I'm so sorry, I was desperate. She lowered her voice. Daniel doesn't know about my debts. If this gets out, my marriage, please, Daniela, please. Around the table, reactions spread. Cousins stared, aunts covered their mouths. Roberto shook his head slowly, disgust etched across his face. Whispers followed. I can't believe they lied about the gambling. All of this, over money. On Christmas. Poor Daniela. Poor Bella. Bella. I looked at my daughter, still tucked safely in Grandma Elena's arms, watching her aunt and grandmother beg on the floor. She was only 9. She shouldn't have been seeing any of this. I gently freed my arm from Valeria's grip. Everyone, I said quietly, please get off the floor. My mother looked up at me, hope flashing in her eyes. So, you forgive us? Sophia whispered. You understand, don't you? We were just… I understand perfectly, I interrupted, my voice calm, level. You lied to the entire family about me. You tried to steal from me, and you made my daughter believe that her mother was worthless. I took a step back. I don't need to stand here and watch you cry. I just need you to know that I see you, all of you. I paused. And I'm done pretending I don't. I walked over to Valeria, still kneeling on the floor. I crouched down until we were eye to eye. Do you remember what you said to me last week in my living room? She couldn't meet my gaze. You told me I wasn't smart, I continued, that I married Miguel and got lucky, that I was just a widow with a windfall. I let the silence stretch. My 9-year-old daughter heard every word. Valeria flinched. You told me to leave and never come back, I said softly. Tonight you said Christmas would be better without me. I stood up. That's fine. I turned to the room. I'm going to give you exactly what you asked for. I met every face. I'm not suing anyone. I'm not pressing charges. And I'm not interested in revenge. My voice didn't waver. Miguel would have been proud of that. But I am going to protect myself and my daughter. I took a breath. From now on, there will be boundaries. I looked at my father. Hector couldn't meet my eyes. You chose money over your son-in-law's memory, I said quietly. Over your daughter. Over your granddaughter. I shook my head. That was your choice, not mine. I turned to my mother, still on her knees. You told Bella that the world would be better without me, I said. A child, Mom. Your own granddaughter. My voice hardened. I will never forget that. And neither will she. Finally, I looked at Valeria. You said I don't have friends, I said. That I barely have a personality. A small, humorless smile crossed my face. Maybe you're right. I shrugged. Maybe I'm not interesting. But I'm not cruel either, I paused. And right now, that's enough. I held out my hand. Bella ran to me and pressed her face into my side. Grandma Elena rose and stepped beside us. Daniela, sweetheart, she said gently, her hand finding mine. I'm so proud of you. I squeezed Grandma Elena's hand. Let's go home. My phone started ringing before I even reached my driveway. Marissa was first. Daniela, I had no idea, she said, her voice shaking. I'm so sorry I didn't say anything at dinner. I believed what Valeria told us. I should have asked you. I should have checked. Then Roberto. I feel sick, he admitted. Your aunt and I talked the whole drive home. We're ashamed we didn't speak up. Then Carmen. Then Mark. Then people I hadn't heard from in years. They all said the same thing. They told us you were gambling everything away. They said you were unstable, making reckless decisions. I should have called you, one message read. I should have checked in. By midnight, I'd received 11 phone calls and 37 text messages. Not a single one from my parents, not one from Valeria. The next morning, Julian called. The family network is going nuclear, he said plainly. Your grandmother's phone hasn't stopped ringing. People are furious. At me? I asked quietly. No, he replied. At Sophia and Valeria. I rubbed my eyes. I didn't want this. I know, Julian said gently. But actions have consequences. He paused. There's something else. My stomach tightened. Valeria's husband called me this morning, he said. He didn't know about her debts. She hid them. I pictured Daniel, quiet, passive, always trailing behind his wife. He probably hadn't known about any of it. And my father's store? I asked. Julian exhaled. Filed for bankruptcy this morning. Official paperwork. I closed my eyes. Clients are cutting ties, he continued. Not because of the bankruptcy, but because of what happened at Christmas. He lowered his voice. Word travels fast in small business communities. I leaned against my kitchen counter. I didn't want anyone to suffer. You didn't cause this, Daniela, Julian said firmly. You just stopped letting them hide it. Then, more softly, get some rest. You've earned it. But rest didn't come easily. Not when my mother's words kept echoing in my head. Christmas would be so much better without you. A week after Christmas, Julian sent me a summary. My father's hardware store had officially closed its doors. 30 years of business, liquidated to pay creditors. He and my mother would have to sell the smaller house they were living in to cover the remaining debt. Valeria lost 3 major clients. Word spread quickly through Valeria's real estate circles, not about the inheritance, but about the family meeting that had gone disastrously wrong. In her world, reputation was currency, and hers was collapsing. Daniel had moved into his brother's apartment. He wasn't filing for divorce. Not yet. But he wasn't coming home either. I read Julian's summary twice, then set my phone down. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt exhausted. Empty. Bella was on the floor in the living room, quietly snapping Lego blocks together. She was building a tiny house, little square windows, a bright red door. Mommy? She looked up at me. Is Grandpa going to be okay? I sat beside her, careful with my words. I don't know, sweetheart. She frowned, then added softly, I feel bad for him, even though he was mean. Out of the mouths of children. So do I admitted. I helped her press the roof into place. Sometimes, I said slowly, people make choices that hurt others. And then, they have to live with what happens next. She thought about that. Did we get them in trouble? I took a breath. No, baby. We just told the truth. What happened after that came from the choices they made, not us. She nodded, satisfied. I pulled her into a hug. I hadn't wanted my family to suffer. I hadn't set out to ruin anyone. All I'd wanted was peace, to protect my daughter, to honor Miguel's memory by building something stable. He had been right. Actions have consequences, and sometimes truth is its own form of justice. 2 weeks after Christmas, Grandma Elena called. I have a question, she said, and I need you to answer honestly. Of course. Would you and Bella consider letting an old woman move in with you? I nearly dropped the phone. What? She laughed softly. I've been rattling around that big house alone for 10 years. Patricia won't speak to me. Meredith won't look at me. Gerald just grunts when I call. Then her voice softened. But Bella hugs me like I matter. And you've never once asked me for anything. Grandma, I can't ask you to leave your home. I'm not asking, she said gently. I'm offering. She paused. That house will be yours one day anyway. But until then, I don't want to live somewhere I'm not wanted. I want to be with family, real family. My throat tightened. Our apartment is small, I warned. And Bella has nightmares sometimes. And I can't cook nearly as well as you. She chuckled. I don't need a mansion, Daniela. I need love. I heard Bella in the background. Hold on, I said, covering the phone. Bella, how would you feel if Grandma came to live with us? Her face lit up. Really? Like, forever? I uncovered the phone. I think that's a yes, Grandma laughed, a full bright laugh I hadn't heard in years. I'll start packing tomorrow. For the first time since Miguel died, our apartment felt like it might become a home again. A month later, Grandma's antique armchair sat awkwardly elegant beside my secondhand sofa. Her ceramic cats lined the windowsill. Her knitting basket lived permanently by the TV. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. Every evening, the three of us ate dinner together at our tiny kitchen table. Grandma taught Bella how to make apple pie. Bella taught Grandma how to use video calls. I listened to stories about my great-grandfather, about the house, about dreams that once built something beautiful. The insurance money stayed untouched, invested quietly. I set up a trust for Bella's education. The rest could wait. I kept my job, kept showing up, kept building something small and steady. One night, after Bella was asleep, Grandma and I sat on the balcony watching the stars. Do you regret it? I asked. Giving up the house, cutting them off. She was quiet for a long moment. No, she said calmly. That house was just wood and walls. What Patricia and Meredith did, that was a betrayal of everything family should mean. She patted my hand. You and Bella are my family now, the kind that stays. Tears stung my eyes. Thank you for believing in me. She smiled. You didn't need my belief, Daniela. You needed your own. 3 months after Christmas, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Daniela. My mother's voice, small, tired. I almost hung up. Please don't, she begged. I just need 5 minutes. I stepped onto the balcony and closed the door. I'm listening. I know what I did was unforgivable, she said through tears. The things I said to you, to Bella. You told my daughter the world would be better without me. Silence. I know, she whispered. I was scared, and I chose the easy lie instead of the hard truth. I'm not going to pretend everything is fine, I said, and I won't let you hurt Bella again. Then I exhaled. But I'm not going to punish you forever either. What does that mean? It means I need time, and if I ever reach out, it'll be because I'm ready. Yes, she said softly. I understand. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said. I hung up. That night, I realized something I wish I'd understood much earlier. Family is not a free pass to hurt you. Love is not supposed to come with fear, guilt, or conditions. And peace that only exists when you stay silent isn't peace at all. Real strength doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from knowing when to say no, even when your voice is shaking. I didn't choose money. I didn't choose revenge. I chose my daughter. I chose dignity. I chose the truth. And on the other side of all that pain, I found something I never expected to find. Peace. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that proves anything to anyone. But the quiet kind that lets you breathe again. My family is smaller now. But it's real. It's safe. And it's built on love that doesn't demand silence. From the kitchen, Grandma called, Daniela, the cookies are ready. Bella's footsteps rushed down the hall, full of laughter. I closed my notebook and smiled. For the first time in a long time, that was enough. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself or your child over toxic family expectations, please know this. You're not selfish, you're not weak, and you're not alone. Drop a comment and share your story. Your voice matters more than you think. And if you want to hear more real stories about boundaries, courage, and choosing peace over permission, subscribe and check the links in the description. Thank you for listening. Until next time.